The river indeed was breaking up. Several more singular, gigantic, cracking sounds ensued. Then massive chunks of ice could be seen rising in the distance and heaving themselves over the main sheet with the force of the incipient torrent. Sometimes these flows would dip under the main body, wedging themselves, then get crushed from behind by succeeding ones. The effects of this could be seen in the greatly increased action of the waves along the shore. Easily, Annesley thought, could such a major river, particularly after a heavy snow season like this one, conquer its banks and engulf the surrounding country. What about the strip? No, he doubted it. Not by tomorrow, anyway. Thus, they maintained their vigil for the remainder of the afternoon. Much of the main sheet of ice, as far as they could see, broke up into the swiftly moving flows, accompanied at times by range of curious and even haunting sounds, from long, excruciating creaks to ones approximating a human groan. They had dinner in the cafe, chicken fried steak, which wasn't too bad, and there were more people along the bank, and an atmosphere prevailed which might easily have been whipped to the pitch of carnival. When Annesley and Suzanne came out of the cafe, the entire river appeared to be moving freely, with only an occasional swirling flow, halting and racing by turns like a doomed waif. But the general picture was illusory, for most of the river was still solid ice, the streaming water only superficial. Much of it would freeze again during the night, the action beginning again next day. Though there'd be less to do, less torque to get things moving, less drama, and the water level would most certainly rise. The whole process could take a week before the mighty Yukon, at surely one of its more opportune stretches, would resume its course unencumbered. And with equal certainty, prayers would be offered, this year particularly, that the ice, which for a long season had provided good travel, might now move harmlessly away. Annesley's confidence that Lynn would be on time manifested itself initially in his grabbing Xerxes as soon as they got back to camp and clapping him into his cage. What? They had only 2 modest packs in their sleeping bags. The only thing, how could they be sure of waking? Suzanne would do it. No chance she'd sleep past dawn. Ain't that right? She did look good. That dichotomy of a camp stove and of aluminum expanded fused. They spent the night in larger sleeping bags. Dawn came swiftly, for the day was clear and cold for early May. Out on the strip, the sky already quite blue with high clouds. Annesley figured he'd hear the plane within half an hour. From the north, or rather from upriver. Someone had refilled the gas cans. When that had been accomplished, Annesley had no idea. But he was right. Within that time frame of 30 minutes, which he knew was trite, and maybe even a little dangerous, but which, as well like anything, he'd learned never to discard as long as it remained in the slightest useful, like for simple peace of mind, Annesley heard the plane, the minutest drone. He prided himself on many things, especially his ears. He could detect sounds he thought beyond the range of any dog, while they were still well off scale, mere fibrillations. And smell, his sense of smell was superior to that of any canine. He laughed into the dawn. Hear it? He pointed right. With his back to her, that meant for Suzanne down there due east, upriver. Any imbecile can navigate. All you gotta do is get the damn thing up in the air, turn south, make for the river, then work your way down. I don't hear anything, she said. It's there. Annesley looked east. Can't see him yet, but will. That's one thing about my eyes. They're not that great. What primates is. But if something's there, I can see it, you know. It could be just barely there for a primate, and I'd pick it up. I mean, if I was on it. Imagine if you had an eagle's eye, or a sheep's. One of them dudes could read fine print at 200 yards. Hear it? Yes, I hear something. She too stood up. See it. The merest speck had materialized in the palest part of the horizon just above the line of bluffs along the river's northern shore. I can't see anything. My eyes aren't that good. Shh, listen, he whispered. Can't hear anything now? The sound's disconnected from it. Must be the air currents. He laughed in full voice. Shh, he whispered again, taking hold of her neck and pointing. The speck was still there, and as they watched, became more distinct, until someone joined it. Calloway coming at us free, said Annesley. See it? I think so. Now wait a minute, he's dipped against the hills. I saw it. Now he's up again. Yes, yes, I see him. How do you know for sure it's Lynn? For a moment, Ansley was given pause. Of course, it could be someone else. It could be a mail plane. From that direction, it had to be Calloway. The plane was near enough now to be clearly detected as such, but shading his eyes, Ansley as yet couldn't pick out a distinguishing feature. He looked for orange, but couldn't see it. Against the clear dawn, it just looked dark. He circled, checked out conditions. Ansley asked for Suzanne's scarf and stood apart at the end of the strip, holding it up to the wind. There was a little coming from the west, but hardly enough to move the scarf. How far is Jack Creek from here, Suzanne asked. 200 miles. Maybe a little more. I had no idea it was that far. How far did we come from Fairbanks? It's Calloway, said Ansley. The plane was down between the bluffs momentarily against the white of the river, and Ansley saw the fuselage glint orange and cackled. He remained over the river a while, the engines droned low and even, then pulled up and banked toward them, till almost directly overhead the roar grew deafening, and throwing up their hoods, the two on the ground once again were graced with a view of the crate's underbelly. Fairbanks is around 100, maybe 120 from here as the Raven flies, said Ansley. No offense, Raven. So today we're going about twice as far. Into the third dimension. Think of it. And he looked into her shining face. The cabin on the hill was first, this Yukon village the second, and Jack Creek the third. You can't go any further. That's unbelievable. I know, and that little thing through the air? Lynn made his bank at the far end of the strip, again out of sound range, and settled in for the landing, the plane teetering a bit, quite delicate like a mosquito, and he was down. I imagine all we want to do is take a leak and head back. He looked quite affable and matter-of-fact behind the prop as he taxied by them. Don't make him nervous now. We stay right here till he turns it off. A lot of people have been chopped to bits because they were excited and over-anxious. Lynn spoke with enthusiasm, popping open the door, emerging into the silence. Looks like your river's breaking up. Up north, it's still winter. He did step over the bank a moment. Ansley and Suzanne performed all the work, feeling rather seasoned at it. Ansley even filled the gas tanks. Suzanne would take the front seat. Ansley the small, open rear area made comfortable by soft packs and bedrolls. And they were ready. Lynn, leaning across Suzanne to check the door, said it was non-stop to Black Rapids. Ansley settled in. The caged Xerxes looked fit enough. Couldn't tell anyway unless he was looking at you, as the engine noise would quickly snuff any caterwauling. It felt different in the back, with the tail thumping around, and you had more of a sense of the skis scraping at what became a truly frightening speed, and they were up. Ansley's feeling a little alien, because the others could see better. Lynn made one circle for a final view of the river, and for an instant they caught a glimpse of the camp. Then, on an ascent that one felt in the stomach, everything, including the time spent there, was sucked away, and they were gone. All right, thank you.